Would everyone please, this is his first 80s cruise. This is his first cruise ever. So come on, Mark Almond of Soft Cell. Yeah. Wow, did you hear that?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody.
I just said this is your first cruise ever, not just first 80s cruise.
This is the first time I've ever been on a cruise ever.
You were like backstage, you were like, what's that? I'm like, that's the ocean.
Yeah, but you know, it was kind of, it was like I'm kind of feel I'm moving like this at the moment. But it's like, you know, I was just something, I've got this place in my life and I've never been on a cruise. And I just thought, I've got to try it. See what it's like, see what the experience is. And am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? You know, am I going to have a good time? Just what's it all about? So I took the plunge and here I am. And you know, they said to me, first day we arrived at 10 o'clock at night from London, and we were just tired, jet lagged, arrived in Orlando, and they said, well, you know, you're opening the whole cruise. Yeah, I hope so. So they said, so great. So what time? You know, I'm doing what time in the evening am I on? Oh no, you're doing both shows. You're doing the early one and the late one. I could have. I just said, okay. I'm used to doing all kinds of things, so I thought, yeah, it could be. Let's just while I still because the jet lag usually hits on the second and third day. Yeah, so I thought, well, at least I'm going to be still up, and I'm still going to be kind of vibed and the adrenaline and everything. So I thought, yeah, let's just go for it. The first show was a bit difficult. It was, so I think, it was a good show though. It was a great show. It was a fantastic show, fantastic audience, which kind of keeps you going through it. And I thought, you know, things were going a bit wrong, and the film was flickering a bit, and things were happening and stuff. And I thought I had a couple of moments where I just thought, whoa, where am I? What am I singing? Because sometimes I have to ask my backing singers, what are we doing next?
I saw you talking to them, but I thought you were like urging.
I said to them, I couldn't hear something in the monitors, and sometimes I'll say to Louise and Brian, my two fantastic singers, Louise Marshall and Brian Chambers, two of the best in the biz in the UK, and I say, look, Brian, Lou, can you come over and sing near me so I can hear what key we're in? And so it's like, you know, so I don't know, but it was great. But the second show, I kind of felt I was gonna, I kind of warmed up a bit, but they were both. I mean, if you were either show, you were the first show or the second show, I hope you enjoyed both shows. I enjoyed doing it. But you know what? I've got to be honest with you. And I said that after the first show, I did Tainted Love, and 70% of the audience left after I did it. So I thought, that's a bad thing, right? So I just thought, right, I'm going to do that right at the very end of the show. So I should have learned that lesson, so everyone's going to have to stay right till the end to hear Tainted Love and Sex Dwarf and things. So yeah, but so it's been a great experience. I'm really enjoying the experience, so thank you so much.
Mark Almond's cruise cherry. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So backstage, we were talking a little bit about Tainted Love and how us in the US, it came like over from the UK along with Don't You Want Me, Human League, and Sweet Dreams Are Made of This by Eurythmics. And me, my musical awakening came during that period. Those three songs for me, I have memories. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I remember standing in the kitchen and Casey Kasem was on and listening to those three songs, and I knew that was who I was going to be. That was like defining my identity, right? That music. Now, for you, you're in the UK. did you even have any thoughts of making it here in the United States?
No thoughts at all. I mean, we came from the north of England. We came from art college. We were two art college guys. And we started the band at art college because at that time in the north of England there was a very big scene for the electronic music scene that was just starting to bud at that time. And that was like 1979, 1980. And we were kind of part of that whole thing that was going on in the north of England with bands like Human League, for example, ABC, who were originally an electronic band called Vice Versa. And they changed and everything. So we were part of that, and it was quite an underground thing, you know. But of course, the record companies kind of started to twig that there's this electronic music thing happening. I mean, Gary Newman was bringing electronic music into the forefront. Things like Cars and Our Friends Electric and Down in the Park and things. And the Human League with that early stuff, it was starting to break through. So record companies were going, we've all got to sign an electronic band. And so I think we were the last on the block, you know. I think we just, okay, then we'll have Soft Cell. And we were kind of, because we were kind of strange. We were kind of a very strange band, really. We didn't fit into anything else. Well, duo, really. We weren't even really a band, but you know, that they kind of that they saw that we had there was a kind of a cult following happening around us and a buzz that was happening around us, and we were signed to Phonogram along with a band called B-Movie. I don't know anybody. Do you know B-Movie? Okay, well, B-Movie were like, they were really lovely guys. They were kind of, but they were like kind of, I suppose they're kind of Duran Duran kind of band in a way. And so Phonogram said, well, we really want B-Movie, so we're going to sign B-Movie, and they're going to do a song called Nowhere Girl. Yeah.
I do know that song, yeah.
Produced by a guy called Mike Thorne. And so, but okay, if we must, we'll have Soft Cell as well. You know, and we'll give them £1,000. They can buy some new equipment or whatever, and we'll put them in a hotel, a little cheap hotel, and they can just go and record a track or something. So that was how we were kind of an also-ran, you know, when it first started. They're a bit weird, you know, Soft Cell, but we'll sign them. So it was all a bit kind of, we never expected that would suddenly blossom into what happened, became history.
So you didn't even know you were going to make it in the UK, forget about in America.
We didn't. We thought we would have like this cult underground following, you know, be this nice little band, that kind of arty band that would kind of carry along and everything. And when we were doing our shows and things, and we were kind of building up quite a few songs. Dave and I were writing lots of songs together, which we wrote literally in bedrooms. You know, like Dave had his equipment set up, and we were sharing in the same apartment block, and I'd go to Dave's, and Dave's like, I've written this tune. He'd sending me cassettes over, and I'd be writing tunes. It was all very homemade stuff done. And so we thought we'd be this nice little cult underground band, and we'll chug along there, you know, with a cult following. And then we did this. We thought, you know, all these bands, they're doing these songs, and they're all very robotic and cold and electronic and vim stuff. Why don't we do a soul song? Because we were both 60s soul fans, because we grew up in the north of England where 60s soul, what we called northern soul, and Tamla Motown was really big in the clubs around that time. And we said, why don't we do a soul song, an emotional, passionate song, and put that into our set as an encore and see an electronic version and see how it goes down. And so Dave played me a lot of songs. He's an aficionado of 60s soul music. And he said, what about this song? And he played the song called Tainted Love. And so it's by Gloria Jones, great, you know. And I knew Gloria Jones because I was a big T-Rex and Mark Bolan fan. And Gloria Jones was married to Mark Bolan. And so I said, yeah, I love the words, Tainted Love, what a great title, amazing. Why don't we just put it into our set? And we did. So we put it into our set. The record company heard it and they go, right, while you're in the studio, record that song with Mike Thorne, who produced B-Movie. So then they just forgot all about B-Movie. Sadly, because they were a great band. But you know, at the time we didn't care because we were just really glad they were having attention to us. So we went in the studio with Mike Thorne and recorded this little number, this 2.5-minute number called Tainted Love. And then the rest became a crazy history.
I mean, so then you go, my first 12-inch record I ever bought was Tainted Love with Where Does Our Love Go. I've seen someone carrying it around, and someone asked you to sign it, I think, and I was like, oh, I have that. And
Yeah.
Oh my God. But how did you decide to bring the Supremes in on the act?
Well, we were in the studio with Mike. We were originally gonna, I don't know, it's just one thing that we just created in the studio. We kind of had, we were gonna do it as kind of like a medley thing of a couple of songs. And it was a studio thing that just really happened. And Dave was in the studio, we had this kind of breakdown thing that went, like that. And then we kind of, it really was just a thing that we just experimented with, really. And the two tracks were going to be split into two. One was going to be the A side, one was going to be the B side. And that's another crazy story because we lost millions of pounds by not putting our own song on the B side. Because if you put a self-written song on the B side of your cover song, it's the same. You still get all the publishing money. So we didn't do that. We were very, very stupid, naive guys. But it worked. It was being played around all the clubs. And it started to break here as well. And I was doing a show. I think I did the Merv Griffin show or something. And there was Casey Kasem. And Casey Kasem said, "You know what makes that record? It's that break, the whole." And I said, "Well, wasn't the singing anything to do with it?" And he went, "No. It was just that bit that goes like that." So okay. Well, that was Casey Kasem's comment on
Shout
our
out
record.
to Casey Kasem this morning.
I was really fed up about that. But anyway, it was kind of what happened. It just became this enormous record here, I think, and it actually was in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest record spent in the American Billboard Top 100.
I believe it was 43 straight weeks.
I think it was, yeah, it's probably been broken since, but for a long time, that was the record. Tainted Love was one of the longest records in the Billboard Top 100 in the Guinness Book of Records. So we were kind of we never expected that at all. We just thought we'd just be two guys from Leeds Art College. Leeds is a northern English town. And that's it. That would be it, you know. And then it just went crazy. We went to New York to record our first album, Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret, with Michael. Yeah, that became,
Very New York, that record.
yeah. Well, we were influenced.
New York circa turn of the 80s.
You know, it's a very, I mean, in many ways, Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret is a very British electronic pop record. It's about very British subjects, but we were very influenced by what was happening in America. We went out to the clubs, we listened to people who were mixing music, 12-inch records, 12-inch mixes. We were very out of the clubs every single night. We discovered the whole New York downtown scene and everything. We became a whole part of that, Andy Warhol and everything else, So it was America was probably a massive influence on us of what was happening here. And that really fed into what we did afterwards as well. So, and the whole 12-inch mixing records and things.
So you played Memorabilia last night, which was so fantastic. That was actually produced by Daniel Miller, right? Daniel Miller, who you should explain to the folks who that is.
Well, Daniel Miller is like one of the godfathers of British electronic music. He is an impresario of Mute Records, and of course Depeche Mode, Fat Gadget, Erasure are on Mute, of course. We were desperate to be on Mute. We were so desperate to be on Mute, but we were signed by somebody else. Our path went a different way. But and also, I think at that time, Daniel was signing a lot of electronic bands, whereas we signed to Phonogram, and they became they kind of took more focus on us. We were worried that Daniel wouldn't have been able to focus on us too much because he was very focused on Depeche Mode, and I thought we would have been just ignored really. But anyway, we did some recordings with Daniel. He could have produced some stuff. He did a very early production of Tainted Love as well, which kind of it doesn't really work really well.
Is it colder? Because the thing about Daniel, especially coming from, oh my gosh, another 12-inch I have. What's the name of his record when he did the normal?
Warm Leatherette.
Warm Leatherette. Oh my God, but that's a
Yeah.
cold song. The thing is, your vocal makes Tainted Love against this cold background, this warmth. That's what makes that record. I would love to hear that Daniel Miller version.
I think you can find it. I think we brought out a little while ago a special edition of Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret, a box set, and on there you can find lots of demos that we did. And it kind of made me, it was back up in the British charts again, which was great. So, you know, made #1 again. So there's a lot of versions of different things on that, and I think you can find Daniel's original production of Tainted Love, and you'll probably find it on YouTube because you can find everything there really. So, but it just didn't click. It just didn't work. And we did a track with him called "A Man Could Get Lost," which was great. But we did this track with him called "Memorabilia," and that was, and it became for us. I mean, we were in the studio, and I said, "Look, I just want to do this kind of James Brown riff, so like dun 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 dun, like a funk riff, really, something like James Brown or something." So Dave started playing this dun 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 dun, and that turned into Memorabilia, and basically the song is just that. And I kind of came up with these lyrics on my mind. I was thinking about kind of just collecting. We used to collect kind of souvenirs everywhere we went, you know, bits of trashy things, and I used to love collecting all this kind of rubbish, you know, and stuff. So it was just a made-up thing on the spot, you know, and it became, and it just this made-up thing. It was just a rap, basically, a rap to a repetitive tune, and so it just took off in the clubs. This was before Tainted Love even. Massively took off in the clubs in UK. People were playing 30-minute mixes of it and things like that. And I came over to the States, and I was walking through Times Square, and this big guy came up to me, big black guy. He came up to me and he said, "You know, you're Mark Almond." And I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "This was even before Tainted Love. This was in Times Square." And of course, I was kind of like, you know, thinking, yeah, how do you know that? He goes, "Man, you did this song called Memorabilia. I've heard that in a club, and it's just fantastic. It's Memorabilia, the groove of that song is so good. Memorabilia." And that was before Tainted Love was famous. So we probably had a black audience before anything else, and you know, which was great because that tapped into. We did have our soul influences and our disco influences, and that really tapped into that. So I was really made up about that. I was really pleased. Great.
Wow. You know, I'm hearing you talk. This is why I love doing these interviews, because there's so much behind the music, right? When I hear you talk about this, and I know you're coming from art college, I'm wondering if you had a manifesto or a mission. When I talked to the guys from OMD, they said to me they wanted to make craft work more emotional, but they didn't want to use the word love. For the first few albums, all love songs without the word love. Then what would Air Supply do? I don't know. Without the word love, right? But then there's like Duran Duran that they wrote down, "We want to sell out Madison Square Garden within 5 years." And they freaking did. Was there a thing that you and Dave, you sat together and as art students you said, if we're going to make music, this is our manifesto, this is our mission?
I think it was just to make a living, really. I think we didn't have this major manifesto. We liked the idea at first of being this little kind of underground thing. You know, we were just, I mean, our first songs, which you can probably find on the Non-Stop Cabaret re-release or on YouTube, whatever, they were really just almost like little song adverts, because we wrote songs about consumerism and you know, modern living and modern cities, things like that, which were kind of themes with other electronic bands were maybe trying to put into their stuff, but they were very weird little weird sort of commercial stroke uncommercial songs, and we kind of thought maybe we'd do something like movies or something like that, maybe soundtracks for films. I don't know. I don't think we had any really clear idea of anything, really. We just thought, let's just hope we get paid for some gigs. And that's that.
I thought you wanted to shock people, because when I listen to that record, and again, to give context for us Americans, you know, you had David Bowie was, and Bolan, you had these people who were, you know, coming out of, let's say, 1967, it becomes decriminalized in the UK to be gay, to have sexual intercourse as a gay person. Bowie comes out in 1972 and says, I'm gay and I've always have been, which is shocking. Then he wears nail polish on TV. All this is lost on us. We have American Bandstand, right?
You can't believe the impact when he said that. I mean, Bowie's probably not, I mean, he may have flirted a little bit, I don't know, but he really was. I mean, Mark Bolan was the same. We had these kind of very gender mixed artists coming out in Britain, like Bowie, like Mark Bolan, like the whole glam thing at the time. But, you know, when Bowie said that, it was like massively world-shattering, you know, and it was kind of a very brave thing to do. But of course he was married, and it was kind of okay, really. I think that he kind of got away with it. But he really did. I thought Bowie was, you know, an amazing artist. He opened so many doors for so many things, and he was always right on it with the different styles of music, you know. So he was into craft work and electronic music with albums like Low and Heroes, like before a lot of people. He was really opening the doors. But I think being two art students, I think part of our thing is we wanted to be challenging as well. We wanted to be challenging. We didn't want to fit into, we didn't see ourselves, at the time, it was very conservative Britain, and we kind of wanted to kind of be subversive, I suppose, a little bit, and shake things up a bit. We wanted to, if you like to be a little bit shocking, be a bit shocking. I mean, when you look back now, it's, you know, when you see a lot of music that's come since, it's very, very tame. But at the time, but at the time, you know, if you get it, just the fact we got a record on the radio, like Tainted Love, for example, and I went on Top of the Pops, and my record company said to me, you know, I thought I'm going to do black eyeliner, I'm going to have these studded wristbands, I'm going to be dressed in black, I'm going to have this big thing, and my record company says, you can't do that. You can't go on dressed like that. You know, you have to wear something else, and you know, it's a commercial record. You can't look like that. So I said, I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to go on and just be myself and do what I want to do. You know, and it just went crazy. Everything, my first Top of the Pops appearance just went bananas. There were people wanting to dress like me, kind of mums wanted to kind of look after me and feed me up because I was so skinny. You know, girls wanted to marry me, and guys, and everybody, and some people wanted to kill me actually as well. A lot of people. So it was a risk.
From Bowie, right? He steps out onto Top of the Pops. What if he wore a polo shirt instead of dressing like a starman? You know, being yourself. I have to imagine, you know, in 2024, there are a lot of young queer children, queer kids that look back and say, they look at what you did. If Bowie kicked open the door, you held their hands and walked them through it. Like, you didn't know it then.
We tried to break down some barriers and try to be a little bit, just to take things a bit further. You can't believe this, but when Bowie first went on British Top of the Pops, we had Top of the Pops, and he had his guitarist, he was doing Starman, he put his arm around his guitarist, and that was considered really, really a shocking thing to do. I know it doesn't sound like it now, you know, you just put it on one of the guitarists like that, but because he was dressed in kind of makeup and things like that, and his guitarist had silver hair and things like that, people went, wow, that's a really, really shocking statement to make. I don't know whether he realised he was doing it, but I think for us, as kids in our bedrooms watching at home, well, in our lounge with our parents, shall I say, we would just blush. We'd go, oh my God, you know, can't believe he's done that, can't believe he's done it. So I think I wanted to make something of that impact when I went on Top of the Pops. I was clever enough to know that the appearance on Top of the Pops could just change everything for you, the way you were, the way you looked, the way you are, and everything. The performance that you do. I mean, I didn't even look at the cameras properly. You know, I was just trying to get through it, just trying as fast as possible. You know, get to the other end. But it just created a storm, you know. And then I kind of got to know it. Once I tapped into that, I just started being very, very camp at times. You know, really kind of laying it on and really laying it on thick, putting more eyeliner and makeup on. And then I stuck some false eyelashes on once as well. I thought, and the lady who did all my makeup said, "What can we do now?" I said, "Why don't we just stick on these massive false eyelashes and just see what happens?" You know, we had all the kind of the hair. Everybody has big hair in the 80s, you know, it was all big hair and everything. But it was just like, how can we get away with putting more makeup on and make it more outrageous? On the record company were going, no. But you know, we had a string of top 5 hits, you know, so we couldn't have been doing something too wrong. And people just went crazy on those first appearances.
But then you come out with Sex Dwarf.
Well,
how good was that last night? Oh my God! I didn't think you were gonna do it.
Well, you know, Sex Dwarf was actually from a British tabloid headline, and non-stop erotic. Yeah, it was really. Yeah, Sex Dwarf lures disco dollies to a life of vice.
See this guy's shirt?
Yeah. Well, there you go. And I just thought that is amazing, but. Non-stop erotic cabaret was really like a story that went all the way through it, like starting with the first track, Frustration, right through to Say Hello, you know, whatever, and say wave goodbye or whatever. It was a story of like an ordinary guy that kind of leaves his family and goes to this underworld, sort of underground red light world, which was at the time, which was London's Soho area. I don't know whether you have around here, but it was a very, very dangerous place.
It's on deck 3.
Okay. It's on deck 3. Okay. Okay. So he meets all these crazy characters. And so that's where Sex Dwarf kind of. He goes to this club, and there's this, and you know, it's just this character Sex Dwarf, and I just had to kind of write a song about that. We used to take a lot of our influences from tabloid headlines and things. So Sex Dwarf lures the disco dollies to a life of vice. But you know, it caused us a lot of trouble, because a lot of trouble, really. I mean, it really did. We did a video that was really, by those times, was very, very outrageous video. I mean, Frankie Goes to Hollywood did an outrageous video. They came later and did Relax, which was a pretty
like
outrageous
meat
video.
and boobs and...
Wow, and we just thought we were like 2 art students making this crazy wild video, you know. But we were pop stars at that time, being played on the radio, being played on TV. We had kind of an image to kind of, you know, as kind of a responsibility, really, I suppose. And we did this video, and the record company immediately locked it up and put it in their vaults. And the police came around. The police were there, and the little guy who was in the video, we call him the little guy, little person, who was in the video. He got his own agent. He got his own agent, his own manager, and was like in all the tabloid newspapers going, "Oh yeah, I was tied up and we got these girls and we were drugged," and we were going, "Really?" It just didn't happen, you know. So it became a big scandal. We were like 2 pop stars that really kind of went, you know, it was went against every rule that you're meant to do as being a radio played pop star. But it was actually, I mean, I can laugh about it now, you know, but it was actually quite a scary time. So I think for a while I was really so worried about doing Sex Dwarf, you know, and I think that I thought, oh God, it's going to cause so much trouble, especially now, because when we started playing again a few years ago, I just thought times have changed so much. Can I really do Sex Dwarf? I'm now 60, whatever it is. I said 67. Oh, 66. I can't remember because you forget. So I said, can I really get away with doing that in leather trousers, like everything doing Sex Dwarf? Can I do that? And so then we sort of, I said, I don't know, because people might get really, really, really annoyed by it.
We are a much more conservative culture than we were then. Come on.
So I said we did. So let's just put it into the show and see what the reaction is. So we put it into the show because it's a post-punk classic, really, isn't it? So we put it into the show, and I just thought people are gonna be really gonna like, what are you doing this song for now? And then people just went completely nuts, you know. And so I thought, well, yeah, it's got to stay in the show. And I thought, if I come to America, are they gonna really be offended if I do it in America? No. So I wouldn't dare do a soft sell show here and not do sex Dwarf. I actually really enjoy it because the audience will scream and they're all singing. I just look at all these faces singing, Sex Dwarf, they're in disco, darling, two and life advice. I see these respectable ladies and these respectable, you know, all respectable. I'm looking at Sex Dwarf. And I started thinking, that's fantastic. So it's really worth it just to see people's faces.
Well, you asked us last night during the first show did we want to hear it, and we said yes. So we got what we deserved. Okay. But there should be like a movie made out of the fact that the little person star got an agent and went around. I mean, it sounds like the movie Elf, right? When they come to the...
He did, yeah. Well, what happened was he went into the video company, because the guy who made the videos is a good friend of mine. He did a lot of soft sell videos. A guy called Tim Pope, who directed a lot of videos in the 80s by a lot of
Cure stuff?
Yeah, like the Cure, Susie and the Banshees, loads and loads of people. I mean, really a lot of things. He went into the company at the time and he said, I was in the video, can I have a copy for myself to watch at home? And he took it home, he took it to his unscrupulous agent who bootlegged it everywhere and sent it in brown paper packages to all of the newspapers. And caused it that's what caused enormous stir when they watched this thing and they thought, I think that there was, I can't really go into the video, but listen, you haven't seen it.
Nowadays, you would just pay a publicist and
I can't say to a respectable audience, and I can't really talk about it.
Oh my God. All right, well, I want to move on to two other areas. We've had a lot of Sex Dwarf. Your voice was incredible last night. It is unaged. Really good, Mom. So beautiful. And what I loved about the show is your voice was so great. You brought in these great backing singers. You can hear the soul. You know, is there something that you do, like have you done over the years? Steve Perry, for instance, from Journey, he has to sing all of his Journey songs in a different key, you know, because he can't hit certain things anymore. How is it that you've maintained this ageless voice?
I think just keep singing. That's all you have to do, because it's like if you stop, then you lose your voice. I mean, apart from soft sell, I've had a very, very, very busy solo career as well. I've tried a lot. I mean, I've been making music for 45 years. This year is for 45 years, and I've done all kinds of things. I put myself into all kinds of doing different kinds of music. I've done kind of operas or musicals and different things. I've sung, you know, kind of everything from like folk to soul to many different kinds of music. And I've tried that, and it's exercised my voice, and I've kept my voice. And one thing you always have to watch out when you get older is your voice goes down, 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 down like that. So I tried to keep it as high as possible and say, let's just take that to a higher key. So I can sing a high voice like that, and not always low like that. So you've just got to keep saying, take the key higher, and I'll try, and I'll push myself, and I think that's all you have to do. It's just like riding a bicycle. You have to just keep exercising and exercising. But I am lucky. These days I do work with some great BV singers as well, Louise and Brian, who were there last night in the show, who are regulars with me. And sometimes, you know, you just did that extra bit of a cushion sometimes, but they give me a good cushion to fall on.
And I have one more question, because I want to get to some questions from the audience, so think about your questions. I want to acknowledge the fact that Dave couldn't be here. That you are Soft Cell, that he is the other half. And the last time we spoke, you and I, to embark on the U.S. tour, and he couldn't come.
Dave can only do occasional shows because he's been extremely ill. He has a motorized chair, which he has to be in. He can't travel, but he works in the studio. So what Dave does, he prepares he is still the other guy from Soft Cell. So he prepares everything studio-wise. He gets everything ready. And I've got a great guy. His co-producer Philip comes out, who works with Dave, and he does the keyboard duties. But everything on most of the music here is Dave's music that he's programmed and got ready. He can occasionally do shows that he can travel to. So occasionally, America is probably out of the question for him because of his disability, and but it's a shame. But I think the Soft Cell music and the Soft Cell show, and Dave's still very much at the heart of it, and he's still very much the other guy in Soft Cell. So that's where we are, really. So live with that.
Tell him we said hello.
Yeah.
Wave hello.
Yeah.
Say hello, wave goodbye. All right. So come up here, whoever wants to ask questions, use my mic. But I just want to say thank you, Mark, for coming on your first cruise. Come on up.
Hi there, we really enjoyed it.
Hi there, how are you?
Great.
Good.
I just wanted to know, when you first formed your band, is there a story behind how you came up with the name Soft Cell?
I think at the time it was about 1979 when we formed, and we were just throwing different names around. I think a lot of our early songs that we were kind of writing about, we wrote about things like consumerism and things like that, and about they were almost like TV adverts in a way, our early songs, and they were also about the kind of madness of living suburban life, the kind of craziness of suburbia, I think. And so that was a kind of, it just kind of evolved, really. It was kind of a play on words, a soft sell to kind of sell somebody something, sell a commercial thing, or a kind of or a soft sell, a padded sell. So selling something in a padded sell, So it was a kind of playing around with those kind of ideas.
I'd like to ask the same two questions of artists. I want to find out if you remember where you were when you first heard yourself on the radio, what you felt, and whatever, and what you bought with your first paycheck.
Wow. When I first heard we'd gone into the charts with Tainted Love, I was just living in basically like a little block of student flats, still student flats in Leeds. Leeds is a town in the north of England, and that's where I went to college, and Dave went to college there as well. And so I was living in these flats, and I think we still had a payphone, a payphone on the wall. And I got a call, and someone answered the phone, one of the other guys in one of the other flats says, "There's a call for you." And I went and got the call on the downstairs payphone. This is, you've gone to your number, your number 20, I think, I've forgotten the exact, but you've gone into the top 30, your number 20 something or something. And I was going, oh my God. It was like such a shock. I just couldn't take it in. And then, those calls kept coming for the next couple of weeks. You're number 9, and they want you on Top of the Pops. So it was like, I think when things like that happen, you just can't take them in. And next thing you know, you're on a train down to London to do Top of the Pops. And I spent my whole life my whole life, as far as I can remember, the first Top of the Pops appearance was in about 1965 or something, and I actually remember it. It's like a legendary program. So one minute you're watching Top of the Pops from your sofa, and the next minute you're on Top of the Pops looking at people's on their sofas. and it's just something you find very, very hard to take in, I think. And then you suddenly get the call saying, you know, after your first Top of the Pops appearance, you've gone straight to #1. And we were #1 for a few weeks. I think we were sandwiched in between Shaking Stevens' Green Door and Annika's Japanese Boy, I think. I think we knocked Shaky off #1, I think. But I'll never forget. I'll never forgive Adamant. I know Adamant, a good friend. But I'll never forgive him one thing. We had a single Torch, which was personally one of my very favourite soft cell singles. And we opened the show with Torch last night. And Torch was #2 in the charts. And it was due in the midweek charts, it was the #1. It had gone to #1, and then Adam came along with Goody Two Shoes. And then totally knocked us down, and so we remained #2, he became #1. So I can never forgive him for that. But I love Adamant, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Do you know, I honestly, I think, you know, when I first got my real proper big paycheck from Tainted Love, I bought a flat actually. I bought a flat in London, and it was a very cheap flat. But it was for me, it was like I'm buying a flat in London. I can't believe it, it was like, you know, it was like a dream come true. I never ever imagined that I would ever live in London, of all places. You know, a boy from the north of England living in London. I bought that with I couldn't even believe what the paycheck was, first of all. I mean, by today's paycheck standards, it really wasn't a lot. And the cost of the flat, apartment, whatever, by today's standards, wasn't a lot. That same flat went for like by now prices was a lot, but for then it was just like the most glorious thing. I was living in Soho, the West End of London, in neon lights, the West End, in Theatre World and everything, and I had my own flat there, and I thought I thought every dream had come true.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
You and your music meant a lot to me when I was growing up.
Oh,
so
thank you.
What a treat to see you. So my question is, there's 2 music videos for Tainted Love. They're very different. I've always been curious about the process for how music videos get created in terms of the story. Were you 2 involved in each of those? What's the reason that
Well,
the
a lot
different
of
ones, all that?
the 2 videos you made, I think when there was never really a proper video done for originally for Tainted Love. It was part of a video show that we did called Non-Stop Exotic Video Show, and we did a Tainted Love as part of that. And then so I think a few years later it was re-released again, and I think the original video on the Non-Stop Exotic Video Show has me dressed as Caligula, sort of with getting some sweet little girl to dangle her hand into a tank of piranhas or something. So that wasn't that was Tim Pope's kind of idea for his video of Tainted Love. So it wasn't a really commercial video for the song, but a few years later the song was re-released, and so then we did a different video which was a much more, and I was actually away touring when they made the video, so I had to actually just supply my fake, they just did a film on my face which they fitted into the video. Whatever, but that's the video that's shown now, I think, with a guy with some lights and things, playing with some lights, and my face appears in the stars or something, and that's the video that's shown now, because there wasn't really an original official video. But I like to always put my input into videos and say I'd like this, and I must have made about 40 video clips, more over the years. I can't remember, but I like to put my input in, and and I really enjoy making them. When you still get to make a video with a decent budget. Back then in the 80s, the budgets for videos were astronomical. People used to throw, hundreds of thousands at making a video clip. It was outrageous. No wonder nobody got any royalties, because it all be spent on your videos. But now what I like is you make videos for YouTube, really, because there's not the places anymore that show a lot of music videos. So I mean, I think there's still MTV. Is there MTV? What? Is that? Really? Well, I mean, there's not really. That's how old I am, basically. But there's not all that many places to show videos these days of that, unless you're a superstar, like a Beyonce, or you're someone who can make a big, fantastic video. But even then, people tend to watch videos on YouTube or on, kind of social media on their phones. So I like the fact you can make a video for much cheaper now than you used to, and people can watch it on their phones. I think that's more creative. Yeah.
Let's do 2 more questions. I'm so sorry, guys. We're running out of time, but I see her hat behind you, and I can't deny what is obviously possible.
Hi, sweetie.
Thank you.
Hi, Mark. So you were with Soft Cell for a number of years before you went solo. I want to know what prompted you to go solo, and I love Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart. It's my favorite song by you. Can you share with us how you pick some of your guest vocals, especially Gene Pitney?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, when Soft Cell, when we split for the first time, it was 1983, 84, and the pressures, I think we just had a bit too much too soon, we were thrust into this kind of world. As I said to you before, we never set out to be a hugely commercial band, but we had become that, and we enjoyed it. I think Dave decided he wanted to go more into production and not play live, whereas I wanted to play live a lot. I really enjoyed playing live, and by that time I started to work with some different musicians. So we just said at the time, let's just call it an amicable split. It's not an unfriendly split when we temporarily split or whatever, and we went different ways. And it wasn't until 17 years later that we made another record, and then 17 years after that we made another one. But it's kind of, I've been very lucky, I think, in my career that I've got to work with lots of amazing producers and people. Working with Gene Pitney, for example, what a legend, what a great, because I grew up as a kid loving those songs of Gene Pitney, Something's Got a Hold of My Heart, and those big ballads, and I love that, and that's probably more where my solo work is probably. But he was such a great person to work with, and we did the video in Las Vegas, and we did the video in this old neon junkyard of old videos and old neon signs, shall I say, that had been junked out, and they lit them all up, and it was great. And I said, I'm not going to meet him, because I didn't do the we did the vocals separately. And I thought, I want to meet him for the first time in this neon junkyard in Las Vegas. So he arrived in Las Vegas in his limo, whatever. He went straight to a fruit machine, put in a coin, and won kind of like, $500 or something like that, straight away. And then, so that was a lucky sign. So then we came to the video place, and the first time we ever met was when we came together for the first time on that stage in the video, and we met each other for the first time, and we sang the song together, and that was an amazingly magic moment. And we, of course, after that we did promo and stuff together. But what a professional person, because I was always grumbling about everything, going, can't have this, can't have that, blah, 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 blah. And he was going, just let it all ride over you. Just let them, let it ride over you. He was so cool and calm and professional. And it was great that Something's Got a Hold of My Heart also gave a big boost to him as well for his career, which was great. It reminded everybody what a great singer he was. So I thought that was a special thing to do.
Hi, Laurie. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Thank you so much for yesterday's performance. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Mark, I was at your Lethal Amounts Sex Cells event. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Mark, did you know that Danny was going to bring a sex dwarf on stage?
I had no idea.
I knew it!
I can't tell it.
Those of us who weren't there, I need to know.
Yeah, okay. And we did this. we did this kind of a few years ago. It was before the whole COVID thing happened and everything. We did this little. I did this little tour with DJs and things because I hadn't played in America for a long time, and I really wanted to do this thing. It was DJs and different bands, and I put together a little band, and I played some of my solo stuff and some of soft cell stuff, and we just played some great, interesting little places and stuff. And we had this big party on everything. There was Dieter Von Teese did a burlesque show in a champagne glass and all these sort of things. And it was a great tour to do. I really enjoyed it. And then very on the last night, everyone was dancing on stage. I thought I'll do Sex Dwarf, and it was that cinema in LA. This old cinema in LA. It was fantastic. And I was just singing Sex Dwarf, and I felt something happening, and I was dancing, and I was going, Sex Dwarf, something was happening. And this little fella started crawling between my legs. And he was going, okay, Sex Dwarf. And he was like crawling between my legs in a bondage outfit. It was just the best thing. I mean, how could he have done that? And it was great, and I felt, you sure you don't mind me singing Sex Dwarf? I was going, no, I am a sex dwarf.
This little fella. When you said this little fella.
And then I just felt that there's something happening between, what is this? And he was crawling out. And he had a jockstrap on. I shall never forget that moment. I think it's one of the treasured moments of my entire career.
You are so lovely. Thank you for coming.
I feel guilty about the couple of guys that didn't get their questions.
Listen, I'm good with it. If they don't mind, do you want to have the
just come on quickly. There was two guys. There was two ladies.
Come on.
I want those ladies.
As long as they don't mind.
I feel they came up to ask a question. So let's.
How sweet are you? Come here.
2 more minutes. That's all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you too.
First, I want to start with a story where I was 12 years old, and my older brother introduced me to soft cell Tainted Love. And like Lori, started my journey on music.
Oh, wow. Great.
But one of my questions I had is, I know Sex Dwarf was controversial. I was one of the proper ladies dancing in show 2 last night.
Oh, good. I saw you, yeah.
Throwing my arms out.
Yeah.
But another question I have is, I haven't heard you play Mugs Game in a while.
Do you know what? That is so weird because I've really tried to get Mugs Game together to do, and it's just so complicated. First of all, I just can't remember. I difficultly remember the words of most songs these days, but I kept thinking, because I said to Dave and everything, shall we kind of prepare up a Mugs Game to do? Because I know people like it here and everything. But I just haven't been able to work it out, and I keep thinking there's all these references in it that are so British. Like, do you know what a party four is and things like that? When it's like a big can of beer. Yeah. Call it a party four.
I think we all love the part where you say.
Do you know what dodos are?
America, and because people have lots of money there.
Do you know what dodos are? They're cough sweets that we all used to take. That used to give us a buzz when we used to go dancing. And it's just very kind of all these British references, and I was thinking, would people get it if I really did it? And maybe I could just rewrite it a bit. So it's still a work in progress.
Awesome.
So I'm still hoping to do it at some point in some form.
And you look fabulous. You are fit.
Oh, thank you so much. So you too. Thank you, love. But that was a good question. That was a great question.
It's really funny. I loved both the shows last night, and I'm playing also. But it's really funny that I was going to ask about that song too.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's a sign. That's a sign that I really have to get that song together.
No, just lyrics or whatever. Any comments?
It's a Muslim. It was the morning after the month before. No, that's the other one. That didn't scare me. How does it go?
Oh, it's a Mugs game. It's just kind of real upbeat, you know.
The
Mugs game, you know.
Yeah, it's a Mugs game. How do I?
It kind of goes on, you know, like you're just.
If I remembered it, I'd sing it for you, but
you're talking about like your dad and your record collection and.
Yeah, and you go about Deep Purple in rock and Led Zeppelin 3.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was hoping for a pick maybe sometime from my friend Adam. He's got all your vinyl at home, so.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
I shall try and work on. I'll try and work on that song and try and get it together. Oh God, it's another day and I just is nearly like I've drunk that party for. I should have been home in bed instead, and I'm standing here. Well, anyway. That's just my But I mentioned all these British brands and things like that, and you're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? But I'll get it together.
Do you see how much people love you here? Do you feel it? Are you happy you came on the 80s?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
I had a great time. Thank you.